I'm Jacklyn Downing, textile artist. I want to share with you today a few pieces from my series, Converting the Mundane to the Sacred in Women's Work. But first, a little background. My formal training is in graphic design and interior design. So my first memories of sewing are with my mom. We made curtains for our home when I was a child, and I came to love sewing. I didn't have my own sewing machine until I was 21, and I thought it would be great to make my own clothing. So I got a sewing machine as a birthday gift and got a few patterns and failed miserably at sewing anything from a pattern. I think that I just didn't like all those rules, and I didn't know enough about sewing to really understand how to use the pattern. So I found myself just making my own clothes. I would cut up existing things that I had and add in other things and compile these odds and ends pieces for myself. And I think that that's transitioned now into my artwork, where I don't typically have a plan necessarily when I begin, but I start working and things start to come together, and then themes emerge in my work. And in this case, it was converting the mundane to the sacred in women's work. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents when I was growing up, and there were certain tablecloths that remind me of my grandmother. When I see those at flea markets, I always think of them and the dinners we had at their house. And it's cultivated in me a deep love and appreciation for vintage textiles, and I often incorporate those into my work. Women decorated with embroidery and other details these fantastic pieces to elevate the look and feel of their home and really personalize it. And I think we often don't realize how much time, love, and attention goes into those pieces, and they end up at flea markets yellowing in stacks. And I like to rescue them and revitalize the fabric and turn them into art pieces as a celebration of that work, even though I don't know those women. And this piece is a representation of that. It's the Healing Arts apron, and it celebrates women as healers. I've constructed it using a vintage quilt, and there was a lot of disrepair in this quilt. It couldn't probably be used as a quilt anymore. The batting was yellowed. There's areas where it was coming through the fabric. So I cut it up and turned it into this apron, and then repaired those pieces like a healer would. But I used gold thread in the vein of the Japanese wabi-sabi, which is appreciating the imperfections in things and celebrating those rather than deeming them as trash. And the kintsugi repair method, which is using gold to repair. So I've also used some gold foil. There's pearls, and then it's also repaired using the handwork of other anonymous women, these things that they lovingly embroidered for their homes. There's lace, there's bits from old handkerchiefs, and along the back there's additional lace, a repair here that looks kind of like a scar would, but it's all a celebration of our imperfections. And as long as we're here, we always have work and healing work to do, and we wouldn't be here still if we were done with that work. So may we carry on with healing. So carrying along this theme of women's work, this piece, 20th century Durga, is a representation of the warrior goddess Durga, and in each of her hands she holds something that represents the 6 most common types of employment for women. These haven't changed much since the 1950s. They've shifted a little bit, and while we can maybe be upset about that, there's a reason that these positions are filled by women, and that's because we're good at them. So let's take a look. We have school teacher, and that is the same. That's still one of the common employments for women. We have nursing is common for women. And in the 50s, this was cashier. That's shifted more now into retail manager or mid-level management. We have secretary work. That's still mostly occupied by women. And working in the home with the broom. And then I took some artistic liberty and included the baby, one of the biggest unpaid labors that women have done for many years. And while men do that work as well, it is still mostly women. And so, these are important things to celebrate, and it also represents the multitasking that women do in their work. So we have our warrior goddess Durga. I've included a bit of humor in the title of this piece, which is called Am Apron. It's a recreation of a patent from 1904. It was patented on my birthday, coincidentally, which was a sure sign I needed to recreate it in an artistic way. And it was patented by a woman. And it was designed to be worn at the back, underneath the skirts, as a way to prevent from leakages during the menstrual cycle. And I tried to recreate it as close to the patent as possible using absorbent cotton, but I did embellish it a bit by adding an embroidery piece here that represents the female reproductive system. You'll see the fallopian tubes are the ribbons, French knots, and a basket of red roses flowing out of the side. We do our work, and no matter what that job is, women are doing that while they're bleeding. And I think that's an important thing to notice and appreciate. And this is a divine and sacred feminine right, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. So, Aunt Flo's apron. Words are a very powerful, but also delicate tool that we have as human beings to use for ourselves and toward each other. And the I Am Apron is an encouragement to absorb the words that describe us as women and disregard the ones that aren't as helpful or encouraging. So when a patron comes to see this piece of artwork, they are encouraged to interact with that by choosing the words that represent themselves, such as kind, creative, goddess, or artist, and attach those with the brassiere hooks that are sewn onto each piece and onto this delicate apron, which represents how fragile we are as people and how easy it is to hang on to the words that negatively impact us. And there are words on the floor that represent the things that we should reject, such as bossy, sensitive, aloof. These words are used against women to diminish their work, and things like bossy aren't used to describe men. So let's reject those. We'll leave those on the floor. There's actually no way to attach those, so even if you want to hang on to that one, you're not allowed. You can only take with you the things that are beautiful about yourself. The I Am Apron.